Welcome back to the channel. We're going to go out in the lake and try to catch some swamp monsters. Well, let's get into it. I know all the snapping turtles in the lake by name, but the evening before, there seemed to be a new visitor. Bigger than all the other snapping turtles, a true Leviathan, and ever since I saw him disappear into the murky depths, I could think of nothing else. Snapping turtles spend the night hunting and active, but during summer days they hide in the shallows, deep in the mud, going unnoticed. And it takes a skilled eye to spot a snapper deep in the mud, or lurking on the bottom before it spots you. I have visited this spot often. It has been a good spot for big catches, but at this point, little did I know that I was in for a surprise. Well, we finally caught the big snapper turtle we were looking for. Now, this is a new snapper turtle in the pond. And, he's really mad at me, buddy. Anyways, this guy weighs about 40 pounds. That's usually about as big as a snapper turtle will get here in Ohio. And first thing we're going to talk about is the carapace, which is the shell on top. Now, here, buddy. Snapping turtles usually have the shell on top. It's called carapace. And as you can see, it has these ridges that face slightly backwards so that when a storm comes through or the river that they're in floods, they can wedge between rocks and logs, and these ridges will keep them in place during a storm. Now, the second part to a snapper turtle shell is the plastron, which is a much smaller variation of the shell on the bottom. Whereas what you'd see with a painted turtle is their plastron covers their whole belly, whereas snapping turtles have such a bad temper is because they have a lot of meat exposed underneath their plastron. See all that fat and meat under there? And that makes them vulnerable. They can't even curl up into their shells like a box turtle would. So they've developed an aggressive attitude towards anything that would threaten them. Now, as you see, I pulled him out of the mud from underneath the thorn bush. He's probably taking a nap, but I told him he needs to be on video. Now, to answer another common question, are snapping turtles a threat to us swimming, fishing, or boating? Well, most of the time, as the same with all other more dangerous reptile species, as long as you leave them alone, they're going to leave you alone. Every now and then, there can be unfortunate accidents where somebody did the wrong thing and tried to mess with a turtle. Because if you mess with one of these guys and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get bit, and it's not going to be fun. And as you can see, all this meat and flesh is hanging off him. Now, he'll build that up during the summer, and he'll eat a lot, and eventually, when he goes in hibernation, he'll be able to live off that fat until spring. So, technically, his body will be able to burn that fat and use it as energy to keep himself alive. Well, when I'm reaching down to the water and I see a trail where a snapping turtle has dug up under the mud, or where it is in a place where it has been hunting, like back at the weave, I saw a trail where he dragged his body up under the mud. Now, when I reached in there and I felt that hollow sound of his shell, that sound doesn't sound like a log or a board or a stick or a rock. That's a completely unique sound, and it doesn't hurt him at all when you tap him with an oar or you tap him with your hand or a stick. Anyways, when I reach my hand in the water and I feel the shell, I can feel the ridges, and I know he's not a rock. I know it's a snap turtle because these two ridges running along his back in a vertical form towards his head. And I'll usually feel around the shell, and usually when they're in the mud, they're facing away from me. They're facing in towards the land. So when I feel my arm around the front, because I can put my arm up here, I can't get bit. And if I feel that this is flat up here by his head, I know that's where his head is. And I have accidentally felt the top of the snapping turtle heads and almost lost fingers. But when I feel around to the backside, let me get up to the camera, his backside is spiky. Almost reminds you of a dinosaur, right there. So when I feel those spikes, or so-called scutes, I'm able to tell that's where I can pick him up. And usually, that's just right underneath his back legs or just in front of them. This is a good way to hold him right in the middle so that he is balanced and he's comfortable, and I can easily get him into the boat. Another thing I love about snapping turtles is their tails. Now, you can see his tail right here. He's got like these dinosaur-looking spikes that come down his tail. I can tell this is a very old turtle because of these spikes. With common snapping turtles, these spikes will grow as they get older. With an alligator snapping turtle, you usually have the spikes shrinking as they get older. And this is just like definitely one of the most iconic parts of a snapping turtle. As you can see, he has lost his tail. He could have lost that in a fight in a very long time ago. Now this dinosaur deserves to go back.
I released him down the stream, hoping he would find a new home, so his story could live on.